How do you find a video editor? I don't think there's a person on the planet who is better suited to answer this question. To keep the intro short, I really do this shit. There's over 973 videos on YouTube about how to edit, like Devin Jatho. 90% of my competitors are just carbon copies of me and my style. You can literally open up editing softwares nowadays and choose captions that are called the Devin captions. I mean, I can go on, even this fucking video looks sexy, right? Well, I'm not just gonna sit here and continue to flex on you. In this video, I'm going to teach you on how to find your very own video editor. But not just any video editor, because finding a video editor is easy. There's millions of mediocre to choose from. But finding a good one, now that is difficult. An editor who doesn't misspell words, an editor who turns in videos on time, and an editor that not only knows how to edit in a way that looks cool, but also increases the likelihood that your video goes viral. And to find this type of video editor, you're not gonna go out and waste time actively searching for them. No. With the systems that I'm going to hand you in this video, you're going to position yourself to be found and have world-class editors begging to work with you. And I'm gonna guide you on how to make this happen in 3 simple but powerful phases. Starting with phase 1, I'm gonna help you build an editor funnel. A hands-off funnel that not only attracts world-class editors, but also gets them raising their hand to beg to work for you. Phase 2, I'm gonna equip you with editor X-ray vision, allowing you to be able to sort through all of those raised hands and know exactly which traits to look for and know who's world-class and who's not. And then in phase 3, we're gonna go over payment. I'm talking about how to, how much, and what incentives need to be put in place around payment. And I'm warning you now because you do not wanna fuck this part up. Because even if you find an editor who is world class, if you don't align their incentives, you'll end up with late videos and you'll never get the high quality, unique style that you want. And these are the 3 phases to hiring a world class editor. Starting with phase 1, building an editor funnel. Devin from the future here. Long story short, this video is long as f***, and I give a lot of value inside of it. That said, I just want to set the expectation that this is not going to be an entertaining video. You shouldn't expect that. But what you should expect is to leave this video with a step-by-step system for you to follow so that you can go out and find a world-class editor this week. Now, that said, if you're in a situation where you just want me to implement the plug-and-play systems to source an A-player editor and then have me and my team train that editor for you, along with everything else inside of Nexus, then feel free to click on the first link in the description to learn more. And then for everyone else, lock in, get your notes out, and let's work. Back to starting with phase 1, building an editor funnel. Alright, so to build a hands-off editor funnel, you're gonna need 2 things. 1, access to the best job posting platforms that host top editing talent. And 2, a job posting that's like honey to the hungriest bees. And by honey, I mean you and your position that you want to fill. And by hungriest of bees, I mean world-class video editors. So let's start with the job posting platforms. Now, of course, you have the obvious freelance sites like Fiverr and Upwork, but those are just kind of like a race to the bottom nowadays. Whenever it comes to job posting platforms, there's like 10 out there that will actually get you some decent applications. And I'll give you 4 today, ranked from worst to best. So at the bottom here, we'll start off with onlinejobs.ph. And we'll give it a C tier. Right now, onlinejobs.ph is $69 a month, and it will 100% get you a shit ton of applications if you post a job there. That said, a lot of the applications will be shit. There's a lot of overseas talent in the Philippines. However, finding talent, specifically finding editors, is typically like looking for a 4-leaf clover in a schoolyard field. You know that they're out there, but you don't know if you're gonna find one. But sometimes it's worth a look. Now, if we go 1 step above to B tier, you have remote.co. Now, this one is a little steep. It's $300 per job posting, which isn't cheap, but it will also get you a decent amount of applications. Maybe not as much as onlinejobs.ph, but they would definitely be higher quality applications, which is why I put it at B tier. Now, for A tier, we have Behance. Weirdly enough, this one works for us quite well. And it actually costs $0 to post a job. And that said, it does not get you nearly the amount or the quantity of applications as the other 2 that we just mentioned, but it does 100% give you higher quality applications than the other 2, which is why it's an A tier. However, if you want the best of both worlds for quality and quantity, then you have S tier, which is youtubejobs.co, aka ytjobs.co. Now for this one, it sits around $300 to $500 per job posting, depending on what type of options that you select when posting the job. Now this one is the best of both worlds. Like I said, it gets you a good amount of applications, and the quality of applications are some of the highest that we've ever gotten from job boards. All right, so like I said, once you have a job board picked out of one of the four, then you actually need to post a job to that job board. So here's a little template for you to follow. This is going to be a general overview of the structure to use. I couldn't give you guys what we give people in Nexus because I want to respect the members inside of Nexus and make sure that basically that there's not 1,000 people using their fucking template. So this is a general structure. It's an amazing structure to follow, and I'm just going to go over the structure as a bird's eye view. That way you can look at it and then kind of model your job posting off. That way you attract the best possible talent to your opportunity. So first things first, what you do is you start off with About Us. Now for the beginning of the job posting, just make an elevator pitch about your company, stating a clear authority statement and what role you're looking for, in this case, video editors. Then directly under that, you create another section, which is what we're looking for. And in this is going to be a quick summary of exactly what role you're hiring for and what they will do inside of your company. So for the benefits of joining a section, just list off the benefits that someone receives whenever they come work within your company, selling them on why they should even want to work within your company. Now, in this, just mention the cool things that you guys have. For example, for us, we do some sort of 12-week company trip every single 12 weeks. I give quarterly bonuses to people. Whenever it comes to salary for editors, we don't have like a set salary. We have an opportunity to make a certain amount of cash collected for the entire company, and just like overall benefits on why a top tier individual would want to actually look into your job. And then below that, once you're sold and just like slobbery at the mouth to come and edit for you, then you go over the qualifications that they need to have and what qualities that you're looking for. Now in phase 2, whenever we go over the X-ray vision on how to know what to look for, we'll go over what the qualities and qualifications you need to actually look for. So we'll get to that in a couple of minutes. Then under that, you just go over responsibilities. Just state their role as a video editor and what that will include within your company. What does their day-to-day look like, and what are their key responsibilities look like as your video editor? And then also, what are the expectations within their time working for you? Just make everything extremely clear. Hey, you're gonna edit this, this, and this. Here are all the things that you're going to do as a video editor within the company. And then here is some secret sauce. Not really secret sauce, but it is something that we use in all of our internal job postings. So what you want to do is you want to frame positives under you should not apply if. You want to frame things that would be seen as positives by the undesired crowd, and then but also seen as negatives by the desired crowd. So for example, you seek a traditional 9-to-5. Here it's more like a 9-to-9. That's actually something that we put in a lot of our job postings within my company Nexus. Or another one is you prefer a normal, stress-free, comfortable lifestyle. That would be a positive to the undesired crowd. We don't want people that want to be comfortable. We want people that want to be uncomfortable and want to learn and grow and all that good jazz. So we basically point out, hey, all the shit that people typically want, that people typically look at as desires, if these are your desires, don't apply. However, the people that we do want, we want them to look at this and say, you should not apply it if, and go, fuck, I don't want any of these things, so I'm good. And that just kind of creates a little bit of a qualification process in itself of what type of individual you're looking for in your culture. And then directly under that, you want to put, you should apply if, which basically you go over the positives to the desired crowd. They'll be looked at as negatives to the undesired crowd. So for example here, what we say is you're committed to continuous improvement, not only in editing, but to your fitness, mindsets, relationships, and just overall improvement in your life. Within my company, most people are fit, and that's just kind of the expectation. And for some people that look at that and go, oh, well, I don't think that my fitness matters. I think it just depends on my performance on the job itself. Those are people that we just don't want to work with, and that's fine. But the people that see that fitness is like a big part of our company at Nexus, then that should be a positive to the desired person that we're looking for, which is a person who cares about their fitness. And then another example would be you value constructive criticism, feedback, and collaboration from and with other world-class editors on your team. Not everyone wants criticism. Only people that want to improve want criticism. And those are the people that we're looking for. So now we're just calling out exactly what person that we're looking for and who's going to fit our culture well. And then after they've gotten through all of this, they know what you're about, they know exactly what you're looking for, they know why they should join you, they know what qualifications that they need to have that they must align with, They know exactly what they'll be doing on a day-to-day as a video editor working with you, and they know that they are a culture fit at this point. Then you just direct them to next steps, which is simply to an application form, which we're about to get to in phase 2. However, before we get there, I do want to go ahead and make a quick little disclaimer. One thing you have to keep in mind is that this is going to get you a lot of applications. Like this job posting and the job boards, going to get you a lot of applications, and following what I just gave you is going to get you the highest quality and the highest quantity of applications. But the nature of just overall job postings in general is still the same. You're going to have to look for the diamond in the rough, because typically the best talent isn't in between jobs. The best talent typically has jobs lined up at all times. To give an example, we interview over 80 video editors a week at my company Nexus, and a lot of times editors will be good that we interview, but we just might not be hiring at that time, or maybe they're just not a good culture fit. And in that scenario, they won't be in between jobs. I'll just place them with a business owner inside of my program at Nexus. That said, with the nature of job postings and looking for the diamond in the rough, you need editor X-ray vision to be able to sort through all of these raised hands and quickly know exactly which traits you need to look for that signal someone being a world-class editor. Which brings me to phase 2, X-ray vision. So whenever you sift through all of your applications from these job postings, you're going to be putting them through this process. First is the application form, then it's the interview, and then it is the trial edit. So starting with the application form, this will allow you to quickly sift through and find the diamonds in the rough. And then in the interview, this is going to be where you test to see if they're a good culture fit for your company. And then in the trial edit, that is where you're going to test their skills. And you make them go through these hurdles in that exact order, starting with the application form. All right, now whenever it comes to the Google form, instead of me just itemizing what you need in your Google form or walking you through ours, I will put a link to the description below. I think it might be like the 4th link. It'll be Google form, and then from there, you can just copy our fucking Google form. That said, if you want to look at it, you can. However, the main things that you want to have in a form that you want to look at that's going to be decision makers on knowing if you want to hire the person or not is going to be these 6 things. Number 1 is always going to be their portfolio. If they suck dick, or are they actually pretty decent? If they're pretty decent, awesome, you continue with the form. If they fucking suck, cool, you trash it. Second is going to be how much they are wanting to be paid, whether it's per video or on a monthly basis. It just depends on if you hire someone full-time or freelance, which we get into what you should do in phase 3. But for now, just basically, what are you willing to pay? And if it is 10K a month that they say that they want, I would imagine you probably not willing to pay an editor 10K a month. So I'll just automatically disqualify them. Number 3 is going to be for us, we need someone that can conversate on an actual call with us. So they need to speak somewhat decent English. So that is a decision maker for us as well. And I think it would be a decision maker for you. Number 4 is just going to be their current work status. Now this doesn't necessarily matter if you're hiring a freelancer, but if you're hiring someone that's full-time, you want to know that they can put all of their attention on you. They don't have other clients, or they're not in college or anything of the such. Number 5, again, kind of more so matters on if they work full-time for you or not, but how many hours can they work in the day, or how many hours do they want to work in a day? If they're freelance, don't really care what they put. If they are working with you and like for you full-time, then if they put 0 to 3 hours, then we have a fucking problem. And then number 6 is just going to be editing softwares. Whenever it comes down to editing softwares, you typically look for 1 or 2 softwares, Adobe Premiere Pro and Adobe After Effects. And this is going to be the preferred softwares for majority of the world-class editors. Any other software typically just means that either A, they don't have a computer. So for example, if they edit on a CapCut, that's typically a sign that they don't have a computer, which is not a good sign. And then also B, if they truly wanted to be world-class and they truly wanted to be one of the best editors in the world, then they would choose a software that would give them the highest ceiling on what they can actually create. And that software is going to be, to my knowledge, After Effects, Adobe After Effects. So whenever it comes to editing softwares that you're looking for, you're typically looking for After Effects. However, Premiere Pro will suffice as long as you're okay with it being A tier and not S tier. And those are going to be the 6 main questions. And then the rest of the form, and the questions on the form, is just going to be optional context. So look for those 6 things and then go through the application. And if you like it, then go ahead and message them a link to your calendar for them to book an interview. Now, this is important because the biggest reason that most business owners can't get good editors is because they don't treat them like good editors. 98% of you are not in a spot where a great editor needs you more than you need them. So when they complete the Google form or their application, Don't be a dickhead that sends them over a trial edit and expects them to do 8 hours of free work. A top tier editor, the editor that you want, will either ghost you or say, pay me. Which, if you want to pay them $100 for them to do the trial edits for you, that way you can skip the interview, it's not the worst idea. But if you're not ready to pay for them to do a trial edit, then take them through an interview first and see if they're actually a good culture fit before asking them to do free work. And then on this interview, you need to look for a couple of things. So I'm gonna walk you through exactly what to look for live. All right, so for a decent amount of time, this was actually kind of the interview structure that we used internally inside the company here at Nexus. So at the start, we just go over core qualifications. Now, whenever it comes to core qualifications, the form should have taken a majority of this. Basically, I only put this here in case some of their form responses might be unclear and you just want to go ahead and double check, or yeah, just become more clear on what their actual answer is. So for example, if you ask, how good are you in English? And it's going to be open-ended question and they say, kinda. Then you might want to ask a further question to see, well, what does kinda mean? Can you speak to me? Right, if they're on the fucking call, I guess you'd figure that out pretty quick. Anyways, just any kind of answer on the form that is unclear that you're looking for to qualify them, go ahead and ask that at the beginning. Then I like to go over culture fit. For here at Nexus, I just wrote down some bullet points. Do they go gym? Are they a young kid who wants the world, X, Y, and Z? If they're a culture fit, then feel free to go and keep the call going. If they're on a culture fit, or if they're on a great fit based on what you're looking for, obviously just, hey man, not gonna work out, and keep it moving. And then once you are aware that they are a culture fit, then you just give them a quick little sales pitch, and this is typically the pitch that we follow. First, going over what your company does, then go over what role you're looking to fill, video editor, and then what does that role do inside of your company, and then sell them on your company culture. What is the vision for the company? And you also have to sell them on that. And also, how can they fit their vision inside of your vision? And then what kind of growth does that role have as joining as a video editor inside your company? Again, this is more so presuming that they're going to be full-time. However, for a freelancer, I would still kind of make it clear on their responsibilities and pitching them on working with you. And then what are the benefits of joining your company or working with you as a freelancer? After you've gone through the sales pitch, go and open up for any questions. And then as long as they are aligned with you and your mission, and overall, you're on the call with them, they're a good culture fit, and they seem to be aligned with your mission, or you think they're aligned with your mission, then go ahead and send them a trial edit. So if you're not 100% sold on them, then you just move them over to the trial edit. However, there's some cases to where I'm on a call with a guy, I'm just like, this guy's fucking good, and I know he's fucking good. So if you were just like 100% sold on this guy, then go ahead, I'd recommend just skip the trial edits, especially if they're that good, and just extend your job offer, or extend to go ahead and hire them as a freelancer from there. And that's the editor interview structure. Doesn't have to be more complicated than this. Just literally, hey, is everything on the form aligned with what we're looking for in the qualifications that I just mentioned, the 6? After that, are they a good culture fit? As long as you've asked them a couple questions, you think, hey, okay, I actually want to work with this guy. Cool. Then you move on to the sales pitch on why they should want to work with you. And then directly after that, open up for questions, make sure they don't have any uncertainties on what they're getting themselves into, and then go ahead and move them into a trial edit or hire them right then on the spot. So if you move them into a trial edit, you do have to create the trial edit, and then you end it off with either a trial edit or you just hire them right then on the spot. Now, if you end up sending them a trial edit, then directly after the interview, you want to send them a trial video. Now, what a trial video is it's basically like a mini VSL, is the way you want to make it and the way you want to look at it for why an editor should foam at the mouth to work with you. This video doesn't have to be longer than 30 seconds. Actually, it should be no longer than 30 seconds. To give you an example, here is our trial edit that we send editors out to. My name is Devin Jatho, and today I welcome you to Nexus. Nexus is a multi-7-figure content company that makes millionaires famous on social media. Now, currently, we are on the hunt for some full-time video editors to come create high-quality content for my own social media. And we are looking for the best video editor to come join us in our mission, and I am more than willing to pay the best to get who I'm looking for. And on top of us being willing to pay the best, in my opinion, pretty fucking sick to work with us. For starters, we go on sick trips with the editing team at least 4 times out of the year. Last time, we went to Dubai. So for example, here is an editor in the fucking sky, here is an editor in a Lambo, and here is me looking sexy on a fucking couch. And on top of the editor vacations, I mean, we give quarterly bonuses, we're gonna be working with the best media team in the world, and blah, blah, blah. Now, with all this said, one thing that I will say is that if you've ever spoken with anyone who has worked within Nexus, then you know that we have the highest standard within everything that we do, especially within our video editing. So if you're looking to grow not only as just like a video editor, but then also as just like a person, and you want to be on other people that are like that, and then as well as join a team of people like that, then the Nexus Media team is for you. We truly are the best, and we lead the content industry. And with that, we're only looking for the best. We own the finish line, and hopefully this trial edit exceeds that line. Cool, so now that you have an example for yourself, and once you have recorded your own trial video, then go and put it into a Google Drive, and then create a Notion page to throw the link to the trial video into. And from here on out, you're gonna send each editor after the interview this Notion page. And inside of this Notion page, you're gonna need 3 things. 1, you need to go and put the instructions on what you want the editor to do. So whenever the editor opens the Notion page, what the fuck did they do? 2, go and give them inspiration on what kind of editing that you like. That way they at least have some direction to go off of. And then 3, then go and give them the download link to your trial video. Then at the top, just going to put a quick little loom, basically walking the editors through what to do with this page. I'll go ahead and show you mine as an example, that way you're not lost. All right, here is our old video editor trial page. So at the top, like I said, you can see that there's a nice little video walking the editors through how to navigate this page. As you can see, it's not me making the video, it is our creative director, Mr. David. That said, he just walks them through how to navigate the page. And then we go over the instructions. Inside of our trial edits, we kind of wanted to motivate them. So we wanted to show them exactly what they're working towards. So inside of Nexus, training video editor gets paid $2K a month. An Apex editor gets paid anywhere from $3 to $5K a month. And then a leader editor inside the company makes anywhere between $5 and $10K a month. You want them to see that to know what they're getting themselves into. Now, below this, we go a little bit above and beyond. Obviously, this is not something that you guys are gonna do. I would like to give them editing tips to follow. That way, they have the best chance of making a good trial. And then, of course, we go over the inspiration, just basically walking them through what our style looks like and what we actually enjoy whenever it comes to editing. And then we go over the instructions along with how to download the footage. Then here, they go ahead and click on this little Google Drive. They download that bad boy, and then they begin working on the trial. And then we tell them, hey, once you're ready to submit, go ahead and submit it to the trial delivery form, which is basically just a type form on Notion. No, actually no, this is a Notion form, but you don't have to do this. You can just have them send you the link on Instagram, for example. Just have them send it to you some way. However, if you want to keep it organized, you can also create a form like us to where that all the people that go through the trial upload it to one individual form. And that is what our video editor trial page looks like. So once you build this page for yourself, every single video editor that you interview and that you're aligned with, you send them this page. And then once you send it over, then wait 24 hours. If they get the trial video back to you on time, then go open it up and then make a decision. If you don't like the trial, or if it's a second late, then just move on to the next. However, if you do like it, then feel free to go ahead and hop on a final call to make a job offer. But if you do like it, you can't just give any type of job offer. Your job offer needs to have aligned incentives. And if it doesn't, then all of this work is for nothing. Which brings me to phase 3, how to pay them. So how you pay the video editor primarily depends on if they're working for you full-time or if they're freelancing and you're just another client. Just in case you don't know the difference in between full-time and freelance, freelance basically means that you pay the editor per video that they create, and full-time means that you pay a monthly salary. And there are pros and cons to each. So let's start with freelance. Now, whenever you hire a freelancer, there's a couple of pros. Number one is going to be that you're operating on a pay per video basis, which means that you are getting what you pay for. There's not gonna be a case where you're paying some sort of monthly salary and sometimes you get 18 videos out of the editor, other times you might get 24 videos. There's no variance whenever it comes to the capital that you're spending. You spend a certain amount and you get a certain amount of videos, which is awesome. Second is just gonna be flexibility. You have a lot more flexibility whenever it comes to having a freelancer. You don't feel responsible to keep them on the team or keep giving them work. If at some points you have more work to give, you can say, hey bro, can you take more projects? Or you just go to a different freelancer. And you kind of have that flexibility of being able to say, I control the amount of work and I can just split it across multiple individuals in the marketplace without having to hire someone or hire multiple people for this season in business. Third is just going to be less stress. Again, these people aren't actually on the team, so you're not necessarily responsible for them. On top of that, you don't have the stress of a certain amount of money coming out of your bank account every month, no matter what happens. Again, it's pay per video basis. You get what you pay for. And then also number 4, which is going to be just less management. If someone's a freelancer, you don't have to make them do end of day reports and shit like that. Overall, they're gonna be much more autonomous, if you will, because they are freelancers and that's the nature of their job. Now for cons for hiring freelancers, there are a couple. Number 1 is going to be that incentives aren't aligned. his incentive is, or don't want to assume anything, the editor's incentive is that they want to get the project done as fast as humanly fucking possible so that they can work on other clients' videos so they can make more money and then get more clients and then make even more money. So their incentive is to get your video done as fast as possible, not necessarily to the highest quality of possible. The second con is going to be you're just going to have limited revisions. I mean, if you sit there and you make a freelancer go through 20 versions of a video, they're not going to rehire you on as a client. So you do kind of have a cap, whether that's spoken or unspoken, on how many revisions you can give. So if you have a standard, there's no forcing that person to meet that such standard, or the expectation that that person has to meet that standard with the amount of revisions that you want to give. The third con is that you're most likely on a list of other clients, and there's no guarantee that you're on top or on the top of the priority of that list. So if there is another client that comes in that pays them more, that has more followers than you and all the other good jazz, they're going to get the best out of that freelancer. So it's just something to keep in mind. And then con number 4 is just going to be a higher turnover. There's a lot more reasons on why you'd stop working with a freelancer than if you had that person full time. For example, like I said, maybe you're not at the top of the priority list and maybe you get kicked off that list because there's another client that's willing to pay more than you, and then you just got to suck it up. There's a lot of times whenever it comes down to a freelancer wanting to raise their price, there's just a lot more things that can go wrong with a freelancer because they're not as dependent on you for their income. So the turnover rate is typically higher whenever you hire a freelancer. And those are going to be the pros and cons list for freelancers. Now, whenever it comes to full-time, again, there's pros and cons there as well. So the pros for full-time is that typically the work is cheaper as long as you manage them well. As long as you manage them well, typically you can get the work cheaper than if you did it paid per video. Whenever it comes down to the amount of videos at the quality that you're looking for. Second is that you get unlimited revisions. If they're working with you full time, they'll do unlimited revisions because that's what you're paying them for. You're paying them for them to perfect the projects that they're working with you on. Number 3, the third pro is going to be that they only work with you, which means they spend all of their time curating their editing to what you like. And then the fourth pro is going to be it is easier to align incentives. No matter what you do with the freelancer's incentive is always going to be get the videos done as fast as possible so they can work on more videos for more clients. For someone that's working full-time, it's a lot easier to align incentives to be more favorable, not only to yourself, but also to the editor, which we'll get to in a second. And then number 5 is just going to be typically you have less turnover. If someone joins your full-time team, typically they're joining it in mind of joining for the long haul, not to necessarily, let's see how many clients I can juggle to get the most amount of money. And then whenever I have too many clients, then I'll just remove a client and then try to get another client that pays me more. Typically you have less of that and you have less turnover. However, there are cons whenever it comes down to hiring a full-time editor. The first con is that if you don't end up managing them well, which is a double-edged sword, you end up paying for more work. So if you pay them $2K a month and you don't manage them well, and the expectation was 20 videos, and you only got 10 videos back, obviously you just pay double per video for that month. So you have to manage them well, which can be a con. Number 2 is going to be they need more management, which is also a con. You need to be more on them about scorecards, end of day reports. You're gonna have to have company meetings with them. They need to fit the culture, just a bunch of other things that you have to manage that you wouldn't necessarily have to manage if you had a freelancer. And then number 3 is just going to be that you have a monthly expense. As in, no matter what, on the first of this fucking month, $2,000 to $5,000 most likely is just gonna leave your account, which it's worth it for some, others it might not be, and others might not be in a financial situation to do that. So if you don't want that to over your head and like thinking, fuck, out of this monthly expense, and you're not very good whenever it comes to, or maybe you just haven't acquired the skill of managing money very well, then obviously that can become a problem and a con. Now, with that said, those are gonna be the pros and cons of both. One is not necessarily inherently better than the other. They just serve two different purposes for different times in people's business careers. Now, personally, everyone on my team is going to be full-time, but that's a decision that you're gonna have to make for yourself. That said, no matter whichever route you pick, you always optimize for a single metric whenever it comes to editors. And that metric is paid per approved video. Now, an approved video means that they've gone through all the revisions and you say, yes, it looks good. Not paid per video to where they sent you a video and then you're obligated to pay for it whether you like it or not. So then the question after that, once we understand that's the metric that we're optimizing for, well, the next question is, well, how do I pay them for this metric? And again, it depends on the type of quality that you're looking for and realistically what you can afford. So for a freelance editor, I can make it really simple for you. If you're looking for a C tier quality, which you see on screen right now, it's gonna be $30 a video. If you're looking for B tier quality, it's gonna be $50 a video. For A tier quality, it's gonna be $100 a video. Then S tier quality, it can really go from 150 plus. For context, if you look at how much I pay my editors on a per video basis, I pay them around $500 per video. So take that information as you will. And it's that simple whenever it comes down to a freelance editor. Now, for a full-time editor, there's a little bit of nuance that you have to apply if you want both of your incentives to be aligned. But first, let's go and look at what monthly salaries look like depending on an editor's quality. So for a C-tier editor, you're looking at about $1,000 a month. For a B-tier editor, you're looking at about $1,500 a month. For an A-tier editor, you're looking at around $2,000 to $3,000 a month. And then for an S-tier editor, you're looking for basically you're sitting between that $3,000 and $5,000 a month mark. Now, here's where the nuance comes in, because you don't want to just give them this base salary every month, no matter what happens. You want to make sure that they're incentivized with the golden metric, number of approved videos. And there's about 20 different ways you can incentivize them with this metric. However, one of the simpler ways is by setting up what is called a tiered incentive-based comp, meaning that they don't just get their salary for existing, it must be earned. But if you introduce a downside of underperforming, as in their salary must be earned every single month, you also have to introduce the upside of overperforming. So here's exactly what that looks like. So 50% of the editor's monthly comp is what they get for existing. As long as they're on this earth and breathing and alive and working for your company, they get 50% of their monthly salary. Now 25% is going to be earned once baseline performance is hit, and then another 25% is going to be earned once standard performance is hit. And then an extra 25% is going to be earned once they hit over their expected target. So to go and break this down, let's say you're looking on getting an A-level editor at, let's call it $2,000 a month. 50% of their comp is a monthly salary, so you just pay them $1,000 a month for being a part of the company. But the rest of their comp is based on their performance. So 25% comp they get for baseline performance, meaning they do the bare fucking minimum that you're okay with before you fire them. And this unlocks the $1,500 a month mark. And then another 25% for standard performance, meaning that they are performing well and they're doing as expected. And this unlocks their full comp of $2,000 a month. And then an extra 25% comp for overperforming, meaning that they're going above and beyond what is expected of them. And this gives them an extra $500 a month, which evens out to $2,500 a month. So to give you a real world example on what it looks like whenever it comes to the amount of videos, let's say you're paying $2,000 a month. So $1,000 a month is their monthly salary. And then their baseline performance is 20 videos approved. And that unlocks 25% of the comp, so they make $1,500 for that month. Now performing is going to be the rest of their comp, which is going to be 24 videos approved, which is going to unlock their full comp at $2,000 a month. And then overperforming, you could put it at 28 videos approved, and that's an extra 25% of their comp, putting their monthly salary at $2,500. Now, this can obviously get a little bit complex because it involves math. So if you want a calculator, go ahead and look at the third link in the description. If you click on that, it'll take you to a calculator. I'm not gonna ask for your email or anything like that. You can just fucking open it and use it. And then obviously you have to show some growth potential, but the incentive structure is a great starting point. The editors will still get a sense of security and a potential upside, and you get protected from having to pay for half-finished work. Next thing you know, bada bing, bada boom, bada bam, you now have an A-player editor on your team ready to hit the ground running. You now have the easy part done. The harder part is onboarding them, managing them, and making sure that they're continuously improving so your content doesn't fall behind. Now, if you want me to give you the simple blueprints to do all of that with ease, and even have my creative director train your editor week over week, then that's just one of the things that we offer inside of Nexus. So if you think that you'd be interested, feel free to go and click on the first link in the description to learn more.